Great.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, well, welcome everybody. We are continuing our talk about the data. Okay. Today we are going to explain you, Ilaria and me, what is exactly a data management plan, and we are going to give you some advices to complete this document. We will give you some advices also for the data quality. Okay. So let me go there. This is the agenda for today. Basically, is we are going to show you the data management in action. Okay. So later we are going to continue with the what is a data management plan, and we are going to explain you the different section of this document. Okay. That remember that this is a document that you have to submit it. I don't know, maybe at the end of this month or maybe the next month. Okay, depending on your work plan. Ilaria will give you a talk about data quality. Finally, we will show you some tools to create data management plan. We are going to focus on Argos. This is an European tool, okay? And also we are going to explain you about data management, DMP tool. That is a tool that we are developing at this moment, okay? Inside of Action. So, well, just a reminder, this is the data life cycle. Well, this is the research life cycle. If you remember, we'll start with an research question, we define the research design, and we will continue to all the data life cycle. That is basically collect data, preprocess and curate data. Basically, is cleaning some data that you collected before, analyze the data, interpret the data, and finally share and publish your data. Okay. So these 3 points is basically we can see the activities related with the data that you have to reflect in a DMP, in a data management plan. Okay, so you will see that most of the sections are focused on collection, how to collect data, how to clean this data to improve the quality of them. Okay, and finally, how to publish this data and where to publish this data. Okay, sorry. So, well, I'm going to explain you some data support that Action can give you, okay, to your pilots. First, thank you, Rafael, for your nice picture of Street Spectra. So basically, you can give you support for using tools like Epicollect on Zooniverse. Just remember that Epicollect is a tool to collect data, okay, and Zooniverse is more a tool to process data. In this case, it's more like classification task. For example, in the case you see in this slide, it's about the Street Spectra. We are working, Rafael and me, in developing this project, okay, on Zooniverse, okay. And in this project, you can classify the different spectra of the lights, okay. So we're going to give you some support, okay? I know that the people from WorldCup and EN knows much better than me Epicollect right now. So I assume that you can ask them also in some interim updates, okay? We can give you support storage infrastructure via Nextcloud. You already know Nextcloud, so we can give you more capacity in Nextcloud if needed, okay? There is some limits, okay? We don't have unlimited resources, okay? But we can increase your capacity, okay? Also, we have to give you some, we can say, computing time, okay? In this case, is related with the execution of workflows based on templates. So imagine that you have, I don't know, some information in internal databases. We can provide you with databases, okay? So imagine that you have information in internal database in our system or in Epicollect or whatever, okay? So we can deploy a workflow. In this case, if you see a workflow is like you have different tasks, and in different stages you execute a different task. For example, in the example you see in the slide, you will see that there is a first stage where you can load the data from, I don't know, Epicollect or internal databases. You can clean the data, I don't know, removing some columns. For example, imagine that you have personal data, so you can remove these columns. Also, you can make transformation, because if you have, I don't know, personal data, but you don't want to remove it, we can anonymize this data, okay? Executing some scripts. So basically we can give you computing time to execute scripts, okay? In our servers, okay? Also visualization. This is an example from one pilot of the first open code. This is Noise Maps, and we can create some dashboards, okay, with very nice visualization of your data, okay? And this is a platform that we can provide you, okay? It's already deployed in the Action servers. Also archiving and publication, just a reminder, we have an open data portal, but also we have a community inside of Zenodo. If you remember from the data session, we are very interested to upload all our resources to Zenodo, okay? There is a few different ways to proceed. It's basically, well, you can create a user, okay? And you can upload your resource or the resources outputs generated by your project with your specific user and name Action, and we will include this information in the Action community, we can say, or even you can create your own community. Okay, you can create your own community, upload the resources to this community, and we will index all this information to our data portal. Okay. Also, we can provide you, as you can see in the workflows, some scripts to upload automatically all this information or all the information you generate in Zenodo, in your Zenodo community. Okay. Just remember that the script is more for automated tasks, okay? So if you are not going to generate much data, or you don't need to automatize this data, we can say this task, okay? You can do it from using the web interface of Zenodo, okay? This is more easy. But we can provide you with a script and we can automatize some tasks, okay? That's the idea that I want to transmit you, okay? There is also all other data activities that we want to manage with you. It's basically DMP supervision. So if you have any question about data management plans, so for example, Esteban or Ilaria, I have a problem with this specific question, we can help you, okay? No worries, just put in contact with us. Interim updates. So internet updates is a good way to, I don't know, to show what are the things that we are doing with our data and we are going to do in the future with our data. Okay, so just a reminder. And we want to organize one-to-one meetings to talk about, of course, data lifecycle, if you have any doubt of data, and research objects. So we will contact with you, I don't know, maybe in the next weeks, okay, to start this, we can say meetings, one-on-one meetings, okay, with you, with the pilots, okay. So, well, we will start. What is a data management plan? Well, this is basically a definition, okay? So it is a document that describes how we are sorry for the mistake. How you are going to manage the data produced in your project. So it's a description of your work, okay? We are not going to evaluate if it's good or it's bad, okay? Just a description of your work, okay? So I remember when the first time that I heard the word data management plan, and this is what my first reaction, okay, my face, okay, oh my God, what is that? Okay, that's crazy. Okay, so, well, I'm start to reading some articles about how to know what is a data management plan, what are the things that I have to put in the data management plan. Okay, and that was my face. Okay, I collect a lot of data, a lot of information, and I say, oh, this is a lot of bureaucracy to do. I don't like it. Okay, but now this is my face. Okay, this is really, really, really interesting. There is really useful to do a data management plan, and I will to explain in the next slide the motivations. Okay, about that. So I can say my objective is to transform your face from the first picture to the third picture during the accelerator period. Okay, I think we can do it. So this is some motivations to create a data management plan. Okay, this is very important to make agreements with your colleagues. Okay, because sometimes there's different point of view. So this is very useful to have a document where everybody knows the things that you are going to do with your data, okay? Of course, how to face legal agreements, a legal aspect, especially with the GDPR, okay? Because you have to reflect all this information in the DMP. Of course, you can, I don't know, how you can create a data policy and privacy rules for your data, wherever, okay? But you have to reflect this in the data management plan, okay? Also, this is very interesting to systematic your documentation, to keep your data in order, okay? Not to have different, okay, there's a data here, what kind of data I'm going to produce, I don't know where this data comes from. So in this case, or in the case of the data management plan, you will see you can organize all your data, and you can see, and even you can share with your colleagues, or even I don't know, a scientist. So imagine that you need the help or the support for a professional scientist, okay? And you have to explain what are the things that you are going to do with your data, okay? Normally, it's not very easy. But if you have a data management plan, this is more easy to communicate with it, okay? Because, well, some of them are, they use a data management plan as a professional in the work, okay? And also, you can describe how are you going to secure the access to this data, and of course, where are you going to publish this data, wherever, okay? So this is a more professional way, we can say, to manage the data, okay? And the cool thing of the data management plan is you can see all this information, and you can share all this information in a single document. And you will see that this is not difficult, that you have to start to write a data management plan and say, oh my God, what are the kind of things that I have to put here? No, you will see that there are different questions that you have to answer, okay? So we are going to deep in the structure of this document. So there is a first section, this is a summary, data summary, okay? So basically you have to describe here what is the purpose of the data collection. You have to relate with the objectives of your projects. Also, you have to describe the types of your data, okay? So imagine you have a data set, okay, and you have different columns that represent different values, okay, different fields, different variables that you want to measure, okay? So you have to describe this in this document, okay? You can do it very informal, okay? You don't need to put, to put a table describing until the less detail of your information. No, that's very informal to see, well, okay, this is my data, and this is the format of my data. This is important also, okay? To see, okay, I'm going to generate a data, say like a, I don't know, CSV file, JSON file, okay? This is a table from a database, okay? That's good. You have to explain the origin of the data, okay? For example, if you are using any sensor or any application, etc. Okay. Also, you have to specify the expected size of the data, okay? That's just an estimation, okay? For example, if you don't know how many contributors are you going to do in, or your project has, okay? You can say, okay, I don't know the number of contributors, but I can tell you that each contribution has a size of, I don't know, 1 megabyte, 2 megabytes, wherever, okay? It is also important if you are going to, I don't know, to use images, you have to specify the images here, okay? Basically, you can say the resolution of the image, or in case, or maybe if you are going to use some fields of the header file, okay, of the image, all these things. And also it is important to say to whom might it be useful, okay, the utility of your data. For example, I'm going to collect all this data, but I want to contact with some scientists in this research group, and I want to send the data to him, okay? That's good. So this is the first section. It's a summary, basically. No, it's like an introduction. So we are continuing with the FAIR data section. If you remember from the data session, FAIR came from findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, okay? This is some principles to publish your data in in the much better way, okay? So you have to answer some questions. Basically, are the data produced project of your project use some specific metadata? Okay, metadata is very important in this part. Okay, so if you remember, metadata is basically another kind of data that describe or put in context the data that you are going to generate. Okay, for example, an example of metadata could be the name of the authors. Okay, that generates this information, or maybe the type of sensor that you use to generate this information. Okay, there are standards. Okay, and if you enter in Zenodo, you will see a standard of metadata. You will see also, for example, the funding, no, the funder institution. Okay, so this is information that you have to complete in when you upload the data. Okay, that's very relevant always. Okay. And of course, you have to say if your data has an persistent identifier. Sorry, for example, a Digitap object identifier. So it is always important to have these DOIs. Okay, why? Because, for example, and I will, for example, if you have any data and you upload Imagine to Google Drive, to your Google Drive, probably you can share the data within the link, okay? But imagine that this link changes, or for example, you, I don't know, remove this data from this repository, Google Drive in this case, okay, and wherever, okay? So you need always to enter in the same way. For example, with Google, you always put in the browser the address of Google, no, www.google.s or com, okay? So imagine that this is the persistent identifier, okay? You can always enter to the Google NG, okay, using this link, okay? But normally, when the servers where this web page is deployed, okay, they use IPs. That is an identification for computers, okay? And the IPs can change, okay? But not the link, the address of Google, okay? So this is why it's important to use digital identifiers, persistent identifiers, okay? Of course, you can provide also version numbers. So imagine that right here in the data management plan, you only have to explain what is the methodology to follow to generate version numbers. You can use, for example, a number, 1, 2, 3, 4 different versions of my data sets, or letters, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, just remember to use always the same methodology. Okay, and you will only have to describe this methodology here. I'm going to use the number. Okay, I'm going to name, for example, my data set test.1. Date, for example, whatever, okay? Remember that the DMP is only for description of your, about how are you going to manage, your data, okay? It's only a description, okay? We are not going to evaluate if it's good or not, okay? Of course, there is another question like, how will the data be made accessible? Basically, if you are going to upload in a repository, for example, if the user needs a password, a user a password to access to this data or not, wherever, okay? If there is any restriction, you have to say it in the DMP. For example, I'm going to upload my data set, but I'm going to put an embargo period of 1 or 2 months, okay? You have to say it in the DMP. Just it in natural language, okay, common language. You don't need any technical language to do it, okay? And also there is the part of interoperability. There's a vocabulary standard methodologies to publish your data. For example, in the case of, imagine that you are measure some temperature from sensors, okay? So it is important that the data that you are publishing follow a common vocabulary, okay? In this case, for example, there is standards of vocabularies that you can use it or describe your data. Okay. Of course, if you don't use any vocabulary, you only have to say in the data management plan, I'm not going to use any vocabulary. That's it. You don't need more. Okay. Of course, the license of your data. Remember that it's very important to license the data. Okay, because for example, if you upload your data without any license, by default, it's considered that there is a copyright on this data, and nobody can use it unless they ask you for permissions. Okay, so just remember to license the data. The most common in open science is Creative Commons. Okay? And of course, finally, you have to describe the quality process for assuring the quality of your data. Okay. So this is question. Of course, you don't need answer for all these questions. Okay. If you don't implement any of this, for example, in the case of data quality, you are not going to implement any mechanism to assure this data quality. You just say it. No worries. Okay. Allocation of resources. So in this section of the document, you have to put some questions like, what are the costs for making data fair in your project? In this case, if you are going to upload your data set to Zenodo, what is the cost? Well, for the moment, it's free. Only the cost you need, I don't know, we can say human resources to upload this information, okay, to Zenodo, but that's it. How will it be covered? Of course, if you have any support or financial support for another project, you have to specify it here, okay? Who is responsible of the data management of your project? And if you are going to, I don't know, if you are going to preserve in the long term your data, okay? Basically, if you are going to upload any, we can say, official repository, well, the long-term preservation is guaranteed. Okay. Data security. Right here, you have to specify, okay, basically who are going to access to your server or to your data. Okay. So, for example, if your data is in your computer, because I want my data only my computer, I'm not going to publish on Zenodo or another place. Okay, just only my servers. You have to specify here if there is some secure measurements in your servers that avoid any intervention from other users, okay? Any attack from other users. And you have to specify here. Okay. Again, not a common language, okay? No, you don't need any technician, okay? You need a technical language to do it, at least at the beginning of the DMP in this first version. Well, basically, this is about the data security section. Okay, just remember, if you are going to, I don't know, if you have in a Linux server, okay, you have to say, okay, the only person who are authorized to enter in my system is, I don't know, the manager or the administrator of this, the admin of this computer, and me. Okay, that's fine. Ethical aspect. Again, if you have any personal or you manage any personal data or sensitive data, you have to specify here the treatment that you are going to do with this data. Basically, if you are going to anonymize this data, or if you are going to remove some personal data before publishing your data sets, all this kind of information, okay? You have to reflect all this information here in this section. Okay, and of course, if you are going to, or if you have some consent informs or forms, okay, you can specify here, and even you can add the link, okay, to this informed consent that the people can see it, how to do it. Okay? I will give you some advices, okay? So first, DMP is a living document, okay? You will start with the first version of the DMP at the beginning of the project, and you will finish at the end of the project with a different version of the DMP. It could be similar, okay? But I assure you that you are going to, I can show you that probably it will be different that you plan, okay? But this is very important to do it at the beginning because you need a plan for the data, okay? That's very important. So it's a living document. Do not try to do the best DMP in the world in the first version, okay? That's impossible sometimes, okay? So no worries, okay? If you don't have all this information at the beginning, okay? Try to answer the question as well as you can, using your own language, okay? Do not worry. We can say in like the professionals, there is a technical document, but most of the language that we use, removing some specific technical words, okay, it's very common use. Just describe the things that you are going to do with your data. That's it, okay? Simple, keep it simple. And try to be concise, okay? Just, I don't know, if you are going to answer one of the questions, just use 1-2 paragraphs, okay? Not 1 page to answer each question. There is no need to do it, okay? Just be concise. Okay, I'm going to collect this data, and this is the different, we can say, variables that I can track. I'm going to collect with my data, and I'm going to publish in this repository. That's it. Okay, and of course, I'm going to generate a DOI if it's possible. Okay, that's it. Don't write more than needed. Okay, so I'm going to give the floor to my colleague Ilaria.
Okay, thank you. So I share my presentation. Do you want? Do you have my presentation? If you want, I can share it. My presentation.
You can share.
Okay. Okay. So just a second. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Great. So my presentation is about data quality. I'm starting with definition. There isn't a really universal definition of data quality. I put here one of the most complete and some other small definition here and there. But the common part that you can see more or less in all the definition is that the scope of the data quality is to fulfill the requirements of the purpose for why you are collecting data. So the point is the quality of the data needs to be enough to fulfill the requirements of your study, in this case. And okay. This slide represents your answer to this question. We made an exercise during the kickoff meeting, and we collect what is a data with a good quality for you. So here I summarize your replies, give more importance to the ones shared from more than one pilot. But it does not mean that, for example, a point really important for one pilot can be specifically for this pilot the most important, even if it's not shared with others. So it's not an importance scale, but just more common, less common. Okay, but you don't have to be affected by this judgment. What happens when a data has a low quality? What are the effects of the low quality data? I listed here some of them, but it could be more and more. For example, there is a bad representation of the phenomenon observed, higher costs to improve results, underachievement in data analysis expected results, difficulty in implementing long-term strategies, low replicability. If you want to replicate the study in another place with other participants, it's difficult if you collect data with a low quality, because you don't know if it will be the same in the next study, and low comparability with other similar initiatives. But I can list more than this. Just a first overview. This is why it is better to implement data quality management, which is mostly composed by the definition of quality dimensions, the definition of measurement for this quality dimension, the quality problem analysis, and the quality improvement. And now we will see these steps, and I prepared also a tool to help you, so don't worry. And as far as concerned the dimension, so let's start with the quality dimension. Here I listed the five dimensions most cited in the data quality frameworks. I put a link to a study which analyzed more than 13, if I remember, data quality framework, and these are always cited as the most important. Is something that you can find also in the collection of requirements that you listed before, the slides I show you with all your replies, because someone of you told me about completeness, accuracy, timeliness, also consistency and accessibility. This is one point that Esteban already explained to you in the previous presentation. But if you check in this slide, you can see that we cover completeness, accuracy, and also timeliness. There are a lot of your points already covered these dimensions, so they're really common. And then there are another list of dimensions that are always described in this paper. We collect a lot of common dimensions that are less common but are also important. Maybe for some of you, some of these dimensions less common are most important than the previous, because it depends really on your specific study, on your project. So maybe for you, the believability, the amount of data, the security can be more important than the previous cited. But this is to give you a full overview of the most considered dimension. And then we can go to the next point. So when we selected our dimension, so I selected, for example, 5-6 dimensions that can be helpful for my pilot, for my project. Then I needed to measure this dimension. How can I do it? So I want to measure dimensions, and I will use indicators. The indicators are helpful to give us the most objective quantification possible of a specific dimension. So I need to quantificate my dimension, and I use indicators. Maybe in some cases, one indicator could be enough for a dimension. In some other cases, I probably need more than one indicator to describe accurately a dimension. So I can combine indicators for a single dimension, or I can just use one of them. But let's think deep this concept of the indicators. So I put here an example to be clearer. So for example, each indicators need to have an activity check the value of the indicators. So for example, here I put an example: volunteers recording pH in water using an electronic pH meter typically perform a calibration of the instrument before and after a sampling event with known standards. This is a completely invented example, okay? So my data quality indicators have a quantitative goal. I needed to set up a goal. And this is the example. The dimension I wanted to check is the accuracy, because I need to check the accuracy of the calibration. The quality objective: plant species in the studies areas impacted wetlands are accurately identified by the volunteers. Okay, so this is also accuracy about the identification. And data quality indicators for this kind of objective is the number of plant species accurately identified, verified by experts. So I wanted to check the number of the species correctly identified. The quality control activity, I can decide, this is up to you. So you have to set up your goals, your indicators, and your activities. This is just an example. I decide by myself that the best activity to check these indicators is that some experts will sample the 5% of the total recordings and verify the identification. So this is an example. And the goal is that the 90% of the samples double-checked, also by experts, have the correct identification. So if I'm lower than this threshold, this means that my volunteers wrongly doesn't fulfill the requirements of good identification. Okay, but this is a complete example just to understand what I mean. And this is the concept. And then I started directly to explain the instrument that is available for you. I put on the Nextcloud just this morning under Information for Pilots 2021 templates and data quality assurance template is the name of the file. This last one, a file that should help you in the data quality plan for you to plan activities, to investigate your dimension, your indicators, and so on. It is divided mainly in 3 tables. The first one is cause-effect diagram. This can help you in the first phase. Now we will see in deep. Second one is data quality indicators, and the third one is improvement activities. So I go on. As far as concerned the first diagram, the cause-effect diagram, this is from a study from Ishikawa method, which is called also the 6M methodology. And this table describe is a table in the template I provided to you, but this is another way to represent it. You have 6 dimensions. Not a dimension could be misleading because we use already 6 thematics, 6 things that can group all the causes you can have in your pilot that can use an effect. The effect that we want to study, for example, is low data quality, okay? So for us, the effect that we want to represent is this one. But you can also use it for a lot of things. It's not necessary for low data quality. In this case, we need it, so I put this label here. And then I explain you what are these domain. Yeah, domain maybe is the best option. So these are the different things you have to take care in your pilots. So for example, as far as concern materials, I mean, for example, raw materials, components, consumable, everything you need to use as for your study. So also consumable needed for measures, for example. As a machine, I can represent a machine with facilities, systems, tools, equipments employed, and so on. As far as concern men, this is the operational functional labor people engaged. So, for example, volunteers, experts, or all the type of people you need to involve in the study. For Mother Nature, I mean the study mean that these are all the environmental, uncontrollable and unpredictable events. For example, if your pilot is really affected by weather condition, here there is a possible cause of low quality data because, for example, your samples are difficult to be collected during when it's raining or when it's snowing or something like this. As far as concern method, these are the train. For example, some methodology you use in your pilots. For example, also training process or something like this. Also, the methodology based on the scientific evidences is something that can go here. And then measurements are, for example, physical measurements, automatic sensors, for example, and also a scales of evaluation can be a measurement, okay? And in some cases, you can see some overlapping, maybe something, you can find something between machine and measurement and say, okay, I should put under machine or under measurement. It doesn't make so important. It is not such important thing because the importance is that you can have the full picture. So our target here is to have the full pictures of all the possible causes that can affect your low data quality. Then in the next slide, I put some examples. So as I said, weather condition can be an example of Mother Nature causes. Training process can be a cause of low quality data. Maybe if the training process is not sufficient to train your participant. These are some examples. You can put more than one causes under each M, and maybe you can have also some empty M. Maybe you don't use machine in your any type of machine tools or devices in your study, so maybe you don't have machines, but this is up to you. In the template, you will not have this matrix, this representation. If you like it, you can replicate it. Of course, you will have this slide, so you can replicate on a board, for example. But then in the template is a bit boring because it is this matrix. So you will have all the the definition of what is an M, each single M, and a first row of examples, but you can list here more than one causes for each M. I put here some notes. For example, it can be used to analyze the possible causes that could influence the data quality. If you already know it, all of them, you can skip it. If the 6M, this table is useful to better understand the project from different perspectives. This is the main purpose. Each M could have more than one causes listed, and but some M's can be empty, as I said, and that's a cause that is crucial for one project, for one of us. Could be not relevant for another one. So this is really a subjective exploration. And then I go directly to the next template, which is data quality indicators. So when we have first overview of the causes of low data quality in our work, then we are ready to start to produce data quality indicators. At first, to select the dimension and so on. But let's see in deep how to approach this table. So here, the first column is a list of dimensions. These are the dimensions I previously presented, so completeness, accuracy, and then you will have all the dimensions listed here, 5 most important, and also the others. And then for each dimension, you will think it's good for your pilot, is representative for your pilots. You can list a group of indicators. You need to know also that maybe some dimensions for you in your specific case can be the same. So don't worry if you say, okay, but I don't see the difference from now I have just completeness, accuracy that are quite different. But maybe I don't see the difference between accuracy and I don't know. Example, amount of data, if there is something amount of data, and you can say, okay, for me is the same thing, so I can select just one of these 2 dimensions. Okay, so don't worry if you have also dimension that seems to be overlapped for you. Then for each dimension, I go to search some quality indicators. I can investigate quality indicators also from my previous table. So if I see, for example, that there is an instrument in the previous table, then related on the instrument, I can find as quality indicators calibration versus measurement ratio, for example. This is an example. And I can list more than one indicators for each dimension in this table. And then I set up quality activities and checks, quality control activities and checks for each indicators. So for example, for the calibration, I can put periodic control of calibrations and measurements, for example, monthly. This is an ongoing activity. I can also set a specific activity with a specific deadline. Then I set up, as you said before, a goal. So for example, the 80% of my devices are always calibrated. So just a few percentage is not calibrated. And maybe I can add the process to calibrate it again. And then a current last quantification, because this is a living document too. So you can update this current last quantification for each time you reiterate this quality control activity checks. So if I monthly do this action, I will monthly update this cell. And if this is each 6 months, this activity, then this cell will be updated each 6 months. Okay, so it is a living document to monitor our data quality. And then there is the third table. The third is related to the improvement activities. So in the first, I found the causes. In the second, I planned my data quality mapping. And here I have the improvement activities. So I put here the list of the activities that I want to activate to improve my data quality. For example, training of volunteers, because I saw that they need more training or need continuous training. 2 months, the timeline means that you have 2 months, for example, to implement this activity, or maybe automatic measure rejection I put here, and you have to do this in 3 months. So this is a sort of deadline of the activity, the responsible of the activity, and then the involved data quality indicators. So for example, in this case, the data quality is volunteers skill level measurements. I should find it here in the data quality indicators, but is below in the table. You can't see it now. You will see in the Excel in the full template. Sorry. And the improvement activities, these activities are different from this, because these are check activities. So this is where I check my indicators. If the response from this check is that the quality is too low, then I'll promote an improvement activity to increase that value. So the first one, the check activity, is something to measure the data quality. This is something to improve the data quality. Okay, this is some further details, but I already explained it to you. And then so this was all about the template. Then I go on with some example of activities to improve the data quality. These are some activities where we can help you. I can help you. We can help you in this process. So, for example, I listed 3 activities: surveys for volunteers. If there is a specific research questions that need to be investigated among volunteers, we can help you to set up a survey and analyze data. But it's really up to your project. Maybe for someone of you is not applicable because people are not so skilled to this action, or maybe you don't need it because it's not there isn't something that you would like to ask to your volunteers on data quality. So it's really subjective also at this point. Just check of data among volunteers. This second point, we can help you to set up an activity that compares evaluation of different volunteers of the same data with maybe a question also, and analyze the judgment if the judgment is homogeneous. And then the third activity is the same things, but in crowdsourcing. So in some cases, maybe if you have a global perception of the evaluation from naive users, can be helpful. And this is why we can support you in the creation of crowdsourcing campaign and to analyze the data collected from this campaign, where we can provide a list of an easy guideline version for beginners, and maybe if you need to understand if for example, the soil color is what kind of soil color most of the people understand from one analysis, you can show different images to a group of not trained people and then see the perception of the color, for example. And also this activity is really depending on your pilot. So it's something that you could need or not. This is why we are not proposing these activities to all of you from the beginning. The next steps as far as concerned the data quality. So as I said, you can find the template on Nextcloud. And you will have also this presentation, I think, on Nextcloud, so you can have also check again this presentation. Data quality assurance will be discussed also during the one-to-one calls with pilots, with you pilots, and together with the impact. Antonella and Anneli, I think, are already booking this section, and if you already have the look to the template, we can also have questions or replies on this template. After the one-to-one call, I will ask you to fill a survey to better understand your experience in data quality in the past projects, but is really quick survey with a few questions, and if applicable, if you already had a previous experience in past projects, and don't worry if you don't have experiences in data quality, because this is also an information for us. It's just to see if there is an impact of this activity in your pilots. And if you need specific support related to data quality, from if you have questions on the template and you can't have a reply with your mentor, you would like to have a chat also with me, feel free to contact me. And also, if you wanted to investigate in deep these opportunities of improvement activities for data quality. I just want to close with a couple of other slides or other feedback from our interactive session. But this is for you for the first support in the brainstorming session for fill the template of data quality. So if you need it, you have also the summary of our section here. Okay, I think that's all. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Okay, otherwise, Esteban, I think you can go on.
Yes, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, we're just running out of time, so I will try to go fast, okay? But well, so right now I'm going to present you some tools that it can be useful for you, okay, to create this data management plan. The first tool is Argos. Argos is a tool developed by a European project. You can produce DMP, and even you can publish your DMPs on Zenodo repositories if you have a user in Zenodo. Okay, that's very easy to do it. Okay, of course you can update DMPs. Remember, the DMP is a living document, so in this case you can create different versions of the DMPs. Okay, and even you can clone them. Okay, that's very useful because remember that probably you will have some data sets in the same project. Maybe this data set, they have very similarities, like I'm going to publish in Zenodo, I'm going to generate a DOI, this is my founder institution, wherever, okay? So there is a lot of similarities. So Argos can give you the possibility to clone your data management plan, okay? So it's very useful. Also, you can use templates, okay? There is some templates from different institutions in Argos. We will use the H2020 project template, okay? That's a project for, this is a template for European projects. And of course, you can import and export DMPs, okay? So you can export in different formats like PDFs, for example, XML or JSON format, okay? And you can import also DMPs in the platform. And even you can connect this, we can say this platform with external devices, services like OpenAIRE EOS. EOS is from European Open Science Cloud. And there is a lot of services and infrastructure that you can use in the EOS marketplace. Okay, so I'm going to give you a perspective of the tool. Let me share with you. Well, can you see my screen? Okay, so this is basically the screen of Argos. So if you log in the system, you will see this screen. Okay, so basically there are two important concepts: DMPs and datasets. So in the DMPs, you have to create a DMP for your project, and inside of dataset, you have to model or create a DMP for each different dataset that you are going to produce. So there is two concepts, DMPs and datasets. It is a little bit confused because I mentioned that you can generate different datasets inside of your project. Okay, so for each data set, you have to generate a DMP, even you have a my DMP here. Okay, it's a little bit confused, the terminology that Argus use. Okay, but the idea is a DMP for your project, and inside of your DMP, you are going to aggregate data sets. Okay, so perfect. It is very easy to use it. Of course, you can invite collaborators to your DMP. So you can aggregate, I don't know, invite some collaborators from the project. Even you can add as, for example, to me, to this document to help you, okay, wherever. Okay, a clone version and the export. It's very easy. If you want to, oops. And inside of the DMPs, you can see the data sets, okay? Sorry, this is a data set from another project. So it is very easy to start a new DMP, just clicking the button, okay? And you can start from the wizard. You can see that you can start with an import document, okay? But it is more easy to start with a specific wizard. Basically, is you just have to complete these questions, okay? The title, description, language visibility, okay? Just remember to put at the beginning the restricted visibility, okay? But later you can publish your DMP in this case, okay? The researchers involved in the DMP, organization, most of these fields, you will see that there is autocomplete fields, okay? So you can search your institution or another kind of institution. If you can't find it, you always can click in the insert it manually button, okay? And it's very easy. You only have to complete all this information. That is basically the information that I show you in the different section of the DMP, okay? So all this information is related with the DMP, ¿vale? Let's set information. It's very easy. If you have any question later or any doubt, just send me an email, okay? With the data sets, you can start to adding data sets to your DMP, okay? So in this case, you will see you have to select the DMP. You have to select the DMP, in this case, Timo, okay? And you can start to complete all this information. I don't know, that's one. You can add citizen science, oops. Citizen science. Template, just remember, select Horizon 2020. That's important. And complete all this information. Data summary, okay? You will find a lot of information here. So what is the purpose of the data collection generation? Look at that. Even you don't need a specific text to put here. You just click, okay? And all this information is reflecting in your DMP, okay? So the system suggests some possibilities, some text, okay, that you can put here, okay? Even, of course, you can specify different things, okay? As you can see, it's a very controlled form, okay? So all the time they tell you, okay, you can put this kind of information here or just click, or you can introduce additional text to the answer, okay? So I think this is a very useful tool that you can use, okay, to generate this DMP, okay? So this is the first tool that you can use. Just a second, is the, sorry again, my screen is, we can say a combo. It's a combo between a DMP tool, Connie. DMP tool, this is a tool that we generate in the project at the beginning, okay? That our idea is to do something like Argos, but when we saw Argos, we say, okay, we cannot do the same, okay? So basically right now, the DMP tool is like, they give you some suggestion for the text. As you can see in the DMP tool, we don't use the complete template of H2020 project. We use a subset of questions. So we reduce the set of questions that that we ask to the users, and we try to complete the whole DMP with the H2020 template. Some of the questions are difficult, like, for example, what is the kind of license that we want to use or we have to use? So in these cases, we use Kony. Okay, Kony is a tool developed by Jeffrey, by the Ilaris team. Okay, and we use, in this case, Kony like an assistant to recommend answers, okay, to a specific question, like license. So I will give you a very a short demo about how it works. So in the case you want to use the DMP tools service, okay, just you have to send me an email because I have to create the credentials to use it, okay? Just remember. I'm going to share. So basically, you can see here a DMP tool. If you click here, you can see the questionnaire that we use to complete this H2020 template for DMPs. And some of these questions, okay, you will see that there is a button close to them, okay? So if you click in the button, you will see the Kony, okay, the conversational survey. Do you see the screen with the Kony? So in this case, for example, is to choose a license, or in this case, Creative Commons license. So Kony can give you some questions. So this chat is, you can see that the interface is like a chatbot. Okay, they explained a little bit what is a Creative Commons license, and you have to answer. Okay, you have to interact with this Kony. So yes, I'm going to use an open license. The system, will you allow them to change your content and adapt it to their needs? If you say yes, okay. So Kony right now is just processing the response, okay. They tell you, for example, people reusing your data may want to change it. You can force them to make the derived data publicly available. Do you want this happen? Yes, okay. Perfect, just one more question. And are you okay with the other people to making money with your data? No, for example. So right now, Kony is processing all your responses and say, okay, you have to use CC BY NSSA license, is attribution, non-commercial and share alike license, and give you the image that you have to use, okay, to put it, for example, in your web page or using your dataset. So this information that Kony provides you is the information that you have to put in, for example, Argos, okay, to specify the license that you want to use. So basically, Kony takes the requirements you have, okay, and say it, and give you some suggestion, some text suggestion, okay, to put in the DMP. Basically, that's it.